Hello everyone, my name is Vincent Esposito and welcome back to the channel. As you can see, today's topic is physical activity. Now, there's a lot of different ways we can improve how much we move and how often we move. And obviously, there are things you can do like walking, running, maybe biking to work if you can, versus maybe taking the car if that's possible, or walking as much as possible. Maybe it's something as simple as getting off a train stop or two before and walking, taking the stairs instead of the elevator, things of that nature. I don't really want to cover those as much today. I want to talk about if you are going to build an exercise regimen or a routine, I kind of want to go over the basics of what to include and how to incorporate each of these four different brackets that you want to include when you're building a program yourself. There are four key components you want to have involved. We have strength training, aerobic training, flexibility and mobility training, and then timing. We're going to start talking about strength training. So strength training is defined as doing work against gravity. Simple enough. Obviously, the benefits include increasing muscle mass, decreasing body fat, and increasing balance if you're doing certain things like yoga or Pilates and things of that nature. Some types of strength training include things like sprints, hikes, weight training, resistance bands, calisthenics, which are simply just body weight exercises, doing stairs, climbing stairs, and even jumping rope, especially if you have a weighted rope. So strength training is crucial. It really needs to be done, especially as we get older. There's a lot of slips and falls. Generally, with the lack of muscle mass, as you lose muscle mass, there seems to be an increase in general all-cause mortality and morbidity. So the more active we are, the more we work on that strength training, the better shape we'll be in going forward, and the more functional and independent we'll be, not only now, but going forward throughout life as well. Next is aerobic training. Now, aerobic training is simply defined as repetitive motion, essentially doing the same thing over and over again. So when we look at some of these examples like running, biking, dancing, cross-country skiing, jumping rope, even something like basketball or soccer, a lot of these are repetitive motions. You're doing the same thing over and over again. And there are some benefits to aerobic training as well, especially increased heart and lung function. One thing to be really important when it comes to aerobic training is to mix it up. So you want to make sure you're not doing the same thing every time you go out for a bout of aerobic exercise, because you can reach what is known as the plateau effect. So the more you mix it up, whether it's increasing intensity, decreasing time, or vice versa, mixing the actual activities up, whether it's biking versus running versus sprinting versus playing a sport like basketball or soccer, keeping it fresh will help mitigate that plateau effect. So third on the list is flexibility and mobility training, right? So this is actually one after college that I really wanted to work on my own. Again, my goal is to function independently as long as possible without, the help of people down the road, and even throughout my life. I want to be as pain-free as possible. And one of the biggest things, especially with gym goers, especially males, tend to be this flexibility and mobility training, simply ignoring it altogether. So how do we go about this? How do we incorporate it? So certain types of flexibility and mobility training include things like yoga and Pilates, stretching after a workout, or properly warming up beforehand. I actually recommend doing both of those anytime you're going to work out, just to help kind of get you going, help you maintain and maximize ideally that range of motion. So things that we're looking for when we're improving flexibility and mobility is decreased joint pain overall, being able to move your arms and legs and limbs and all your joints freely through their full ranges of motion without pain. So I want to be able to reach out and grab something without feeling pain, or reaching over my head without any pain or restriction. Same thing, increasing range of motion. As we get older, the chances of us maintaining full range of motion is limited. So the more we practice those ranges of motion, going through the full ranges of motion, the more likely we are to keep them for longer term. And balance, again, this goes along with strength training. Being able to maintain balance. Again, a big thing among the elderly population is slip and falls, right? So having the proper strength to hold yourself, and then the balance and coordination to keep you upright, is going to have major effects on your overall health going forward long term. Finally, we get to the fourth quadrant here, which is timing. Now, this is probably the most tricky one to nail down person to person because it varies depending on how much time you have, how intense are you going to get with it? Are you just starting? Have you been working out? How do you idealize that? So this is more of a person to person thing. And again, when you are going to start a new exercise regimen, something like that, I do recommend working with a trainer who can customize something specific to your fitness level, nutrition level, and expertise in general, whether you've worked out before and stopped or you never have. Really important to work with someone going forward. Timing. The first thing that comes up with timing is frequency. So it's really important. It's much more beneficial to be active every day versus, say, if you just work out on weekends. Inconsistency, as you can see, consistency here with the star, consistency is key with this. You're going to have to, again, go through a schedule, maybe build out some time where you can do something at least every day. Just try to focus on something every day. I think that's really important. If you could block out even starting with 20 minutes and then building that out, consistency is key. And the longer you can do it, and maybe you need to go with a friend, the more likely you are to stick with it long term. Speaking of sticking with it long term, research actually suggests that mornings, if you happen to work out in the morning, the more likely you are to consistently do it long term. Again, obviously not everyone can work out in the morning due to, work or family obligations, things of that nature. But generally, if you tend to wake up early and work out in the morning, you tend to be more consistent going forward. So just something to keep in mind. And the most important question is, how much time do you need to dedicate? Now, ideally, you want to get at least 4 hours per week. You can break that up kind of however you want. I just kind of left an example here. This is something similar to what I do, but this does not include the Pilates, yoga, and other things. So what I did write out here, we got 3 to 5 interval or circuit style training sessions, 3 to 5 times a week, ranging somewhere between 30 and 60 minutes. The reason I prefer doing interval and circuit style training is it does incorporate definitely both of these two, and I try to incorporate some flexibility and mobility training in it. So I'm able to get my heart rate up a little bit while doing some strength training and vice versa. So that's why I prefer circuit training. Now, it doesn't have to be for everyone, but I also wouldn't stick to one of these things. You want to make sure you're at least doing a couple of things in each of these categories here. This will help make you much more well-rounded when it comes to physical fitness. These are the basics to building a physical exercise regimen. Again, you really want to make sure you're incorporating at least something from one of these 4 quadrants. And I do recommend working with someone if you never have before, just so you can kind of get an idea where you're at and, more importantly, know where to go next. That's really important. You definitely don't want to jump really far in really quickly because that's how we get hurt. So do it smart, form is key, and just kind of use this as an outline if you're going to build a program yourself. So I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you haven't yet, please subscribe. And if you like it, please like the video. Hitting that notification bell is key. You'll get to know when we're dropping new videos, which is going to be every once or twice a week, give or take. And again, you could find me. I'll leave my information below, and you can reach us at evokehealth.com. You can find our podcast, you can find our courses, and again, reach out to me if you have any questions. See you in the comments section, and see you next time.